hate without reason doesn't exist. There's always a reason. You just didn't give it to them. When someone hates you and you've done nothing to deserve it, it doesn't make sense. You replay every interaction, wondering what you did wrong, questioning if there's something fundamentally wrong with you that makes people turn against you. But here's the truth that changes everything. The reason they hate you has nothing to do with what you did. It has everything to do with what you trigger in them just by existing. Something about you forces them to face something about themselves they've been avoiding, and that's unbearable for them. There are 5 psychological reasons this happens, and understanding them will change how you see hate forever. Watch this till the end, because what you learn will free you from carrying hate that was never meant for you. Before we start, like the video and subscribe to LifeBased for more insights about the patterns shaping your life and relationships.
Let's get into it. Number 1, projection. This is when people can't face the parts of themselves they dislike, so they see those same parts in you instead. It's easier to hate someone else for a flaw than to admit you have it yourself. When someone looks at you and feels hatred for no clear reason, it's often because you're reflecting something back to them that they don't want to see. Maybe they feel like they've wasted opportunities in their life, so when they see you, they accuse you of wasting yours, even when you're not. Maybe they struggle with insecurity deep down, so they see you as insecure, even when you're confident. The traits they hate in you are usually the exact traits they can't accept in themselves, and attacking you feels safer than looking inward. This is why their criticism often doesn't make sense to you. You're confused because you don't recognize yourself in what they're saying. That's because they're not really describing you, they're describing themselves. And the more they hate that part of themselves, the more intensely they'll hate seeing it in you, even when it's not actually there. You become the external target for internal shame they refuse to deal with. The hate feels personal, but it's actually a deflection, a way to avoid the pain of self-awareness. Number 2, loss of control. Some people need to control others. They need people to comply, to agree, to do what they want, to fit into the role they've assigned. And when you don't, when you set boundaries, when you think for yourself, when you say no, it threatens them. Because if they can't control you, they lose power over you. Here's how this plays out. They might try to guilt you into doing things. They might criticize your choices to make you doubt yourself. They might tell you how you should live, who you should be, what decisions you should make. And as long as you go along with it, everything is fine. But the moment you stop complying, the moment you start making your own choices, the relationship changes. They push harder, they manipulate, they get angry. They make you feel like you're being difficult or unreasonable. Because in their mind, you're supposed to play a certain role. And when you refuse to play it, when you stand firm in your boundaries, the frustration turns into hate. You're not hated for being a bad person. You're hated for being someone they can't control. This often shows up with family members who expect you to live a certain way, friends who expect you to always be available, people who've gotten used to you saying yes, and when you finally say no, they can't handle it. Your independence becomes a threat to the power they thought they had. The hate is really just frustration that they can't shape you into what they need you to be. Number 3, threat to social status. Your presence makes them look worse in social contexts, and that threatens their position, their reputation, how others see them. This isn't about how they make you feel internally, it's about how they make you look externally. And for people who care deeply about status, that's everything. Here's what happens. In a group setting, you might be funnier, or more knowledgeable, or more liked, or just more comfortable being yourself, and that's a problem for someone who's used to being the center of attention, because when you're around, they're not the most impressive person in the room anymore. They're not getting the validation they usually get. Other people are paying attention to you instead of them, and that shift threatens their social position. So instead of dealing with that insecurity, they start to resent you. They might talk behind your back. They might downplay your contributions. They might try to make you look bad in subtle ways, because if they can lower your status, they can raise theirs. The hate comes from competition, from feeling like you're taking something from them just by being yourself. This is common in workplaces, friend groups, anywhere there's a social hierarchy. You're not doing anything to them, you're just existing in a way that shifts attention away from them. And to someone who needs that attention to feel valuable, your presence becomes a problem. They see you as a threat to their image, so they turn you into an enemy.
Number 4, you challenge their beliefs. People build their entire identity around certain beliefs about how life works. And when you exist in a way that contradicts those beliefs, their mind faces a choice: either change the belief or reject you. And rejecting you is way easier than questioning everything they've told themselves. Let's say someone has spent years believing that you can't be content without certain things, or that people are fundamentally selfish, or that life is inherently unfair and nothing good lasts. Those aren't just opinions, they're the framework that explains their entire experience. And then you show up, and you're living proof that those beliefs aren't true. You're content without the things they think are necessary. You're kind in a way that contradicts their cynicism. You're doing well in a way that challenges their narrative about fairness. And that creates a problem, because accepting that you're proof their beliefs are wrong means they have to rethink everything. They have to admit they've been limiting themselves, that the way they see the world isn't accurate. And that's too uncomfortable. So instead of changing their beliefs, they reject you. They decide you're fake, or naive, or that you're hiding something. And when they can't dismiss you that easily, the discomfort turns into hate. You're not hated because of who you are. You're hated because your existence forces them to question the story they've been telling themselves about life. You're evidence that their limitations were chosen, not inevitable. And that's something they can't accept. Number 5, Schadenfreude deficit. Some people get emotional relief from seeing others struggle or fail. It's not something they're proud of, but it helps them feel less alone in their own struggles. When everyone around them is also struggling, it normalizes their pain. But when you're not struggling, or at least not visibly falling apart, they're denied that relief. They watch you, expecting you to eventually break, waiting for the moment things fall apart for you. Because when that happens, it will ease something in them. It will confirm that life is hard for everyone, not just them. But when that moment doesn't come, frustration sets in. You're not collapsing the way they expected. You're handling things, you're managing, you're moving forward. And instead of being neutral about that, they resent it. Because every day you hold it together is another day they don't get the validation they were hoping for. The hate builds from unfulfilled expectation. They needed you to struggle so they could feel normal about their own struggles. And when you don't give them that, they start to dislike you for it. You're not playing the role they assigned you. You're supposed to be evidence that everyone struggles. And when you're not, it becomes a problem for them. Your stability threatens their need for collective misery, and that need is strong enough to turn into hate. When people hate you without reason, the reason is always internal to them. It's rarely about anything you actually did. Most of the time, it's about something you're triggering in them without even trying, something unresolved, something they're avoiding, something that makes them uncomfortable about themselves. You didn't create any of it. You just happened to be there when it surfaced. And once you understand that, the hate stops carrying the same weight. It stops feeling like your responsibility to fix or understand, because it never was. If you found this helpful, like the video and subscribe to LifeBased. Thanks for watching.